All right, oh my people, welcome back to Gospel News, where we keep you updated with the latest information on as it take the go. Now, going straight to the reason why we are here today, please make sure you touch the share button on this particular info that we are bringing to your table. As it is now, they say that the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, leader, which is Nnamdi Kanu, will be appearing in court on Monday to face trial again over treasonable felony, according to the Nigerian government. One of our brother, we did call Tijani Yusuf, don't come out to concord chain. Say the trial of Nnamdi Kanu is needless at this point, especially with the way the country is going, and concerning the freedom when some people don't get, like Omoyele Shawore and Sunday Igbo, that holding Nnamdi Kanu back in prison or trying him differently will be an injustice to Igbo. I will let you people to watch the video where he was interviewed and where he made the statement concerning this upcoming trial of Nnamdi Kanu, and he also blamed the federal failed government of Nigeria that their failure to live up to expectation has brought all these agitations that is ravaging the country today. Una go know say this particular matter don dey for court for a very long time, whereby the federal government has been moving up and down without having any result, taking the case to different court. After court and after court, they still go back to the same court where they don't go before. That is rolling in a cycle, which is an evidence of failure in achieving anything against Nnamdi Kanu. Now go still remember, say this lawyer where they stand here, say they ambush him before when in day for court with different matters where shut himself up. And so he take complain concerning this Nnamdi Kanu's case. My people, Orugo no, oya touch the share button and watch the video where this our brother, what did they call Tijani Yusuf, where he made the statement calling this trial a sham and needless under the administration of Tinubu. Let's go there.
Let me start by saying that the entire trial of Nnamdi Kanu, to me, this is me speaking, I think it's a needless exercise. It's an exercise in futility. The government is busy making monsters out of Nigerians, pushing Nigerians to the wall and pushing a lot of persons to the wall. I do not think that it was proper in the first place, given the fact that the government has a lot of issues on its table to deal with. The issue of poverty, the issue of hunger, and so on and so forth. For the first time, if my memory serves me right, this will be the first time in the history of this country where Nigerians, one of the most populous countries in Africa, and one of the richest countries, if I'm not mistaken, in the whole world, will be protesting and asking the government, protesting and saying that they are hungry. Protesting. It happened in Kano, in Mina. I think somewhere in Kano it happened. And even in Abuja, there's a lot of protests against hunger and mismanagement of government. So I think the trial was needless in the first place, and the government should focus on a lot of issues. The government has a lot to do. For instance, even the military, they are overwhelmed. The entire security apparatus in Nigeria, the police, the military, the armed forces. When I say the armed forces, I mean both the Navy, Air Force, and so on, and the civil defense, and all of them, they are not up to 2 million. And now you expect these people to police over 200 million or more Nigerians. So I feel that the government is misplaced. Now, do not forget that the government spends resources and everything to be trying Omoyele Sowore. Members of the media, you are aware that charge has been dropped. With all the monies, with all the media hype, it has been dropped. The government shamelessly, entered a nolle prosequi, and the matter is dropped. So what is the essence of all this kind of trial? Now, they should focus on issues, hunger, the weakening of the skyrocketing weakness of the naira, and so on and so forth. They should focus on all this. Now, back to the judgment of the Supreme Court, the one delivered on the 15th. The Supreme Court addressed a lot of issues on that matter and laid certain matters to rest. For instance, a lot of what is in the public domain is that Nnamdi Kanu jumped bail. You know, that was, I mean, even myself, I was compelled to believe, you understand, that he actually jumped bail. But the Supreme Court laid this matter, not just the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal agreed. You get the point. The Court of Appeal agreed. They said no. He agreed with Nnamdi Kanu that he didn't jump bail. Rather, the state made it impossible, you understand, for Nnamdi Kanu to appear in court. That was what the Court of Appeal stated. The Court of Appeal went further to say that the trial judge was aware of all these facts put before it, but he turned a blind eye to these issues. I mean, I was amazed when I read this. I read it myself. I wasn't told. In fact, the Court of Appeal the Supreme Court indicted the trial judge and said that the impartiality of the trial judge is called to question. I'm not making this up. I urge members of the public to take a look at the judgment of the Supreme Court of 15th December 2023 pertaining Nnamdi Kanu. In fact, read specifically the judgment of Justice Agim, I think somewhere around page 10 to 13, where they rebuked the trial judge in all this. So what is more? You know, so the Supreme Court made a very succinct pronunciation on that matter. Now, however, the Supreme Court reinstated having found out all this, that Nnamdi Kanu did not jump bail, and he was illegally extradited from Kenya to Nigeria. The Supreme Court, in its wisdom, you know, reinstated the 7-count charge earlier struck out by the Court of Appeal. Do not forget that it was a total of 15-count charges. You understand? And the Court of Appeal, in its wisdom, struck out 8, remaining 7. So the Supreme Court, while agreeing with the Court of Appeal, you understand, that Nnamdi Kanu was illegally abducted. In fact, they used the word abducted and kidnapped. These were the words of the Supreme Court and not my words. So the Supreme Court agreed with all this. But in its wisdom, it went ahead to reinstate the 7-count charge earlier struck out by the court below, that is the Court of Appeal, and ordered a retrial of this case. Well, the Supreme Court is the apex court of the land. Nobody there is according to our big brother in the legal profession, Michael Zekome, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, he said that the Supreme Court is a big masquerade, you know. So we leave it at that. But the Supreme Court ordered a retrial of the court of the matter. I would have expected, with all due respect, I am not questioning the decision, you understand, because it's final. But in my own way as a legal practitioner, I would have expected that, having agreed that Nnamdi Kanu was illegally abducted from South Africa and kidnapped, you know, and illegally extradited to Nigeria without following all the extradition processes both in Kenya and in Nigeria. Initially, before now, I was thinking that the Kenyan government was even part of this illegal abduction, but the Supreme Court laid that to rest, to say that Kenyan government wasn't part of it. In fact, they were oblivious of what happened. Now, having agreed, with all the evidence presented by Nnamdi Kanu, who incidentally was the respondent in the matter, the Supreme Court, the list, with all due respect, that I expected the Court of Appeal to have done, the list was to order that Nnamdi Kanu be released on bail. You've agreed with all the indices. You understand? Breach of law, in fact, gross violation, brazen. These are some of the words, you understand, they use. Brazen, gross violation. You understand? You have agreed. Due processes was not followed. You also agreed that due processes is sine qua non, is very, very important to criminal charges. Not just criminal charges. In every trial, I would have expected that the Supreme Court should have said, okay, go home, so that you'll be coming from your home to the court. Since you asked for a retrial, go home so that you'll be sane. You'll be the young man will be in his right frame of mind. Because listen, you need to be in your right frame of mind to stand trial. The courts, there are so many judicial pronouncements on this fact. You need to be in the right frame of mind. So the Supreme Court would have asked him, go home, make sure you come from the home, your house, to the court at any time you are needed. The Supreme Court, before I conclude, also acknowledged the fact that as at the time Nnamdi Kanu's home in Abia State, you understand, was when the government, the state, through the military with its Operation Python dance. The name is very ridiculous. Python that I have never seen danced. The only thing they do is to spit fire. Spit fire like a dragon, the mythical dragon. Now, the Supreme Court said, as at the time they did that, Nnamdi Kanu was under the custody of the law and not in the custody of the state anymore. So, and that they created a situation which made it impossible, absolutely impossible, for Nnamdi Kanu to be present. In fact, they said that it was only reasonable. Gentlemen of the press, I am not making these words up. In fact, I'm trying to quote the Supreme Court in verbatim. It was only reasonable for him to have escaped for his life and for his mental, physical well-being. The Supreme Court uses the word physical well-being, but I wish to add that even the mental well-being is required for any man to stand this trial. And that is why in criminal trials, when it is discovered that an accused person or a defendant is not in the right in his mental state, they order that trial cannot go on. These are some of the privileges that such kind of persons enjoy. So honestly, with all due respect, why we honor, respect the judgment of the Supreme Court, and we cannot do otherwise. We respect it in its totality, being the apex court of the land. But with all due respect, I still feel, in my view, in my most humble view, that the Supreme Court should have ordered Nnamdi Kanu to go home. You understand? On bail, to grant him bail, and while the trial continues. I think that it will not be out of place for the Attorney General, a man I know very, very well, a very respected Attorney General, even before he became the Attorney General, to equally extend that olive branch to Nnamdi Kanu. After all, the charges are almost similar, if not the same. These are almost the same charges. So if you could, because what is good for the goose is equally good for the gander. Look, nerves ought to be frayed in Nigeria. What we need in Nigeria today is peace, and it must start from the government.
All right, my people, I believe say una don't hear the whole story. I take analyze the whole situation here going on in Nigeria, calling this trial coming up on Monday needless, especially in a time like this when Nigeria and Nigerians are grappling with the hardship that this government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu has brought upon the people of the country. My people, this matter, I'll make una pull out and let us know wetin una the reason. Follow the judgment that is coming up on Monday, where they say the trial of Nnamdi Kanu go resume. Una go remember say na this Buhari na ain't go for Kenya, go capture Nnamdi Kanu with hefty DSS men, come carry and come back to Nigeria. Don't also forget that the appeal court have discharged and acquitted him. Drop your comment.